absolutely rocketed me from 5K a month to well over 11, 12K a month just within probably about 2 weeks, being able to scale me from, again, that 11, 12K a month point all the way up to 26, now 30K a month and continuing. Hoping by the beginning of July, I'll be around 50K a month. And then from there to 100K a month and then past that.
So in this video, we're going to be going over a conversation that we had with my client, Jason, who we actually managed to take from $5,000 a month in the month of February, all the way up to 26K a month in the month of April. We were able to do this with multiple different mechanisms that we helped him implement. So we're going to be going over that as well as where he'd like to be in the future, and also looking at his offer and how it changed over time during the span of these 2 to 3 months. So without further ado, let's jump right into the call with Jason.
I just want you to break down kind of where you were before and kind of where you are now since you're working with us.
Sure, I can kind of go a little bit of detail as far as my whole story. So back in, I believe, 2020, this is kind of how I got into the industry for what I actually do for work. And then obviously later on transitioned that into doing it into an online business. But I've had a drafting firm for the last 4.5 years. That being essentially doing CAD drafts for people. If you don't know what that is, that's computer aided design. And so it's essentially drawing blueprints on the computer. That is a skill that I've have been doing since I was basically 9 years old. But in 2020, I stumbled into the specific field that I'm in, and I realized that there's a great way to make money. I unfortunately got into it out of a bad accident. I was in a boating accident, cracked my head open, almost died. And through that, I was able to kind of overcome where I was and get out of the position by doing freelancing. And so through freelancing, I was able to essentially start getting more contracts. I realized, hey, I can make this into a business. So I ended up just hiring some of my friends who were engineering students at the time. I taught them how to do the actual work that we were doing in this specific field. And then from there, I grew my drafting firm in the first year. A year later, I had an office with 7 employees. We did over $150,000 in revenue my first year. So I've been on the path of business for a while, but I knew the entire time that I was really good at doing one thing, which was actually teaching people how to do this particular piece of work. And so from that, I've always known that I wanted to eventually do an online offer. I just didn't know how to get started. So I was fortunate enough to get in contact with Yusuf. This was probably back in November of last year, so 2023. And we were kind of in the same program at the time. And we had a mentor that we were both learning from. And at a certain point in time, I realized that I needed to kind of branch off on my own and just kind of go all in on it. And at the time, I really needed a good pretty much editor and a content manager to be able to, curate the posts that I had and really get them so that way my engagement would be well, but not only engagement, but also my leads. And so at the time, I think I was doing around 5K a month for this one particular business. And I decided that I really just wanted to go all in on it. So I pretty much, sat down with Yusuf, we figured out a plan. And then from there, we started working on a couple videos. And so the first batch of 9 that he put out there absolutely rocketed me from 5K a month to well over 11, 12K a month just within probably about 2 weeks, which is incredible how much the content was able to change just from the quality. Because I had an editor myself who I was kind of, managing, and they were kind of on the lower budget end. So I really wanted to step up my production quality. So I invested in some better cameras. I obviously invested into Yusuf, and it paid out really well. So from that point, right, we've been, kind of working as a team, being able to strategize. And he's worked super well with me, as well as the intern I eventually ended up hiring to help me with this business. So us as a cohesive team has been really well, being able to scale me from, again, that 11, 12K a month point all the way up to 26, now 30K a month and continuing. So I'm hoping by the beginning of July, I'll be around 50K a month. And then from there, I want to obviously implement some more manpower behind my machine that is going to be the sales as well as the setting. That's going to be able to take me up to 100K a month and then past that. So really couldn't have done it without Yusuf. And I think that the rate in which I was able to expand far exceeded my expectations. I was thinking I would probably be about 20K a month by summer, and now I'm looking to do double, even triple that. So originally I had my one-on-one program, which was my main program, but now the main program is really the group program. And so with the group program, right, I'm able to have more people in it, but I've also found more success in it simply because people are kind of in that in that, that environment with everybody else. And it's really fun. I genuinely do really enjoy the people within it. I like two of my groups, I run four right now, but two of them, they're a riot, man. Like every single time I get in with them, it's just a fun time, and I really enjoy doing it. And it's a fifth of the time that I would have to spend with each person. I find that they actually they're more successful for the main purpose of the program, which is getting people into learning how to draft and surveying, but also landing a job in person, as well as learning how to do the freelance contracts. But the high level program has gone from being my main program to now my secondary program. But that is my highest leverage program. It's specifically tailored for people who want to not only learn to draft and surveying, not only get freelance contracts, but actually build up their business in the same way that I did. So if you want to start a drafting firm, that is what that's for. And so I found that the age of everyone kind of scales up, where I have genuinely, it's really incredible. People who are, 30, 40, 50 years old in my high level program, because that's where they are in life. That's what they want to do. Whereas opposed to, the lower ticket program is, for the people in their, teens, 20s, early 30s, and it works out really perfectly. And it kind of makes sense just because of like budgetary reasons, because of the way that my pricing is, right? Again, people who are older tend to have more disposable income to do those kinds of things and to be able to make those larger pivots, and they have the investment behind them. Funny enough, I actually have a guy in my program right now. He's in the high level program. And he came to me he works an incredible job. He's in show business, and he makes a ton of money, like $150,000, $200,000 a year. But he came to me saying, "Hey, listen, I'm retiring soon. I'm really tired of the hours that I work. I want to be able to get my time back and get my freedom back." And that's the beauty of it, is that he's been able to kind of navigate throughout this and really do whatever he wants. And even if he doesn't actually go into the specific surveying side of things, which funny enough he actually is, he's actually starting a business with his buddy to do golf courses. They a lot of the times they need a lot of technology behind them to figure out their grading, and so he's going to be doing the drone surveys for that, being able to put that in the computer, and it's actually really cool, the pivot he's been able to do. And so from the base skill, I've had people who have branched out in that one-on-one program. Another one of the guys, he's actually started his own landscaping company, doing, exterior design, but it all starts with a survey. So being able to figure out where those property lines are and give accurate measurements to when he does the mock-up of what's inside of those property lines for the client's really cool. And he just finished a really big project, and it looked amazing. And so that was his first big client, and he's just going to keep the ball rolling off of that. So being able to work with me, get the business strategies to be able to scale up, has been really cool. And now I think for the younger generation, for the people who want to learn the base skill that it takes to even get started, which is going to be CAD, that low ticket's going to be a game changer. And I'm going to be able to essentially do I'm trying to do basically 10 hours of the program for absolutely free. I'm just going to give it away to as many people as possible. And then from there, if they want to continue, it's going to be very cheap. And so that'd be something that anybody can get into, right? And then from there, if they want to learn, okay, you learn how to do this, right? This is a great skill, and you can, start doing business doing this. You can get a job doing this. But if you want to get into an industry that's going to pay you the most, that's the next step, is they can lead up to, my main program or my high level program. So it's just all a funnel for the next upsell.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And I think I think going into the low ticket is gonna like cover all markets, like the whole market. You're gonna be able to cover from the start, where somebody doesn't necessarily have that much experience with obviously what you're teaching, all the way to becoming almost a partner with you. Charging 8K or 6 to 8K up front for a one-on-one mentorship. So that can actually be a process where you have people coming in, learning from your free value, then opting into your low ticket offer, going up to the group coaching, and eventually being a partner with you, where you're charging 8K up front. And that is, in a way, that's sort of the nurturing process where you're basically educating multiple generations in the whole market. You're changing the whole, and I don't know much about your market, but I do know that you're changing the whole landscape of the surveying and the engineering of the world.
Yeah, I'm the only person doing this.
Yeah.
I pretty much, have a monopoly on it. I'm the person that's kind of changing the culture. The amount of people who go into this industry versus the amount of people leaving, I'm basically offsetting the amount of people who are going back into it, which is crazy to think that like me alone am, pretty much going to, that's my goal, is to save land surveying. That's like my motto. So I think I'll be able to do that in the next 2 years, and it's going to be incredible, the amount of people. I have people within my program right now that are in college, right? And they're earning an income now off of doing work in surveying, but on top of that, they're also changing their major to go into serving so they can go get their license and continue this this cycle, which is really amazing. I'm able to curate these people around me, and it's been really great. I have professional engineers in my program right now, and they're learning so that way they can really bolster their skills and utilize what I'm teaching them for their practices or whatever, because it all revolves around the same skill set, which is getting really good at CAD, but also being able to apply it for surveying, and that allows a lot of opportunities for people who are either in school, they work a normal job, they have a family, they're going to retire. Like, it's the whole broad spectrum, and I think that's the best thing, is being able to curate an offer that's really for everybody, and works for everybody's needs and allows that flexibility. Because when people have options, right, they don't feel a sense of scarcity. They feel a sense of comfortingness, to what direction they're going to take in life, and being able to have those options are always really good. And so I've been able to have a lot of options, through working with you, which is, simply because we're able to pivot so much, and being able to just kind of move on the fly. I don't feel like I'm going to get stuck at any point in time, and I don't feel like it's going to go backwards, especially with the rate that we're scaling. It's just very predictable.
Yeah, I mean, me personally, I literally see a roadmap laid out in front of us in terms of how we can further scale your offer, and definitely going into low ticket is probably that route.
Kind of question I had is, in terms of like offer wise, kind of what was your offer before, like when you started working with Yusuf, and kind of what your offer is now?
Yeah, 100%. So that's actually a really good question. So when I first started, our offer was really tailored for one specific niche, which was kind of like replicating me. I was a dropout engineering student. I unfortunately got into that terrible accident, and I had to drop out of university. I was in my senior year at the time, and I found success by being able to freelance and get into this industry of land surveying, specifically drafting in it. And I just wanted to replicate that for people who were possibly in a similar situation. So our targeting, which is something that Yusuf's really been able to help me, is like figure out what my actual niche is. And I realized that everybody, when they first start, needs to niche down. But at a certain point in time, you may be a little too niche. And so we've kind of backed up a little bit, and we've made it accessible for everybody who has background in AutoCAD. And we've essentially built this really good system, which I think I'm going to be able to expand, not just vertically, because in the future I want to do like a lower ticket offer, as far as my, as opposed to my high and medium, I want to do a lower ticket offer, but as well as horizontally. And so I think that the concept is that if you are an industry expert, right, you're able to teach somebody something and able to help them to get not only just in a freelance position like copywriting or drop shipping or Amazon FBA, where they're able to do it on their own, right? That's uncharted waters. That may be unfamiliar for some people, but also at the same time, be able to take them and get them into a position inside of an office. And so that way they have basically a stable income. So if they want to do both, they can have that backbone of, that real industry work. And then on the side, be able to transition it to doing this sort of freelance stuff where they can really expand exponentially. And that's really what I did, because at first, with my main business, I realized I'm only going to scale linearly. It's fantastic money, but I'm only be able to scale as much as employees that I have and as many contracts that I can get done. And so with having an online offer and being able to scale with content, we're able to go as far as we want, just because that offer is basically exponential. And so that was one of the things I know you wanted to touch on, was how my offers changed over time as well. I originally started out being a one-on-one program. It was very intimate with the people that I worked with, to really tailor what they need, so that way they can kind of progress with their current skills and get to where they want to go. And that's been really great. But I realized at a certain point in time, when I get about that 11, 12K a month, of which pretty much came very quickly, I was slammed. I had no time in the day to actually be able to expand the business. And so I realized I needed to go into a group offer. And so I think that this is probably one of the best recommendations that I give to other people, is start big and then obviously work your way down. I think Tesla, they did something similar, where the first car they did was the Roadster. That was like almost 200 grand when it first came out, and then they had the Model S, which is $100,000 car, then the Model X, which is like $90,000 car, and then finally the Model 3. So I think you have to structure your offer similar to that, where you start off really big and then obviously go down the pipeline once you basically fill up and you realize I can't leverage anymore, which is exactly what I had in my business, which was I can get more employees, I have to get more clients in order to scale this thing bigger, which is going to hit a cap eventually. And so being able to, work your way down the pipeline to things that are, take up less and less of your time, but still have that big of an impact, where you're able to reach more people because you're growing your audience at the same time. And so that's what I recommend for most people. And that's what I'm hoping to do, as well as potentially scale horizontally by being able to take me out of the equation because the system now works. I could basically hire teachers to, essentially replicate what I'm doing in the actual classes, and I could just be the face behind the advertising, as well as, have people who run different types of classes. It doesn't just have to be specifically for land surveying. I'm looking into potentially hiring on somebody who could do a class for interior design, because that's a great way for people to scale up. But it's the same system, which is learn this thing, right? And then as well, they could do it freelance, but also land that position in an office.
100%. Okay.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And
So,
I think,
go
go on, you say.
yeah, go on. Okay. So basically, I mean, I just want to touch back on the content, because a lot of people when they hear content services or posting online for coaches, they just think like a freelancer came in and sort of did some work for you and that's it. But I think with us, and I'm sure you agree, it went deeper than just editing the videos and coming out with a bunch of videos and having them posted. I think, and I'm sure you agree, but the way we were able to flow your leads from being like half nurtured to being fully nurtured and ready to buy your program. Tell me more about that.
Yeah, so I think one of the best things that you've been able to provide is not just freelance service where you just get the job done, but the amount of value that you're able to provide in the entire experience, because you've taken a lot of time off of my hands, and that's probably the biggest thing that I do not have nowadays is time. And so being able to use you to leverage, the content schedule is like absolutely perfect. So that way, you're posting at the right times, so that way the content gets out. Being able to just manage the different platforms, as well as also curate the actual types of content. You tell me what I need to get done every single day, as far as like, hey, today we should probably focus on some CTA leads. Obviously the efficiency has gotten a lot better as we've gone on, and I kind of understand what you're going to ask of me, but you really know how to make sure that what I'm producing is going to end up having that end result of getting more leads. So
Yeah, exactly. And I think the one thing that specifically worked very well with you was the CTA, like going all out on getting every sort of impression that you have to DM you the word CAD, which obviously references the AutoCAD software. Uh, how how many leads were you getting, and how do you think that was really the number one mechanism that we used to get you to convert, or do you think that maybe there was another thing that caused you to get more conversions?
I think that no matter what it is that you do, as long as you find a formula that works for you, it's eventually not going to continue working, which I think is one of the things that we've kind of developed over time, is that like, yes, we can start by doing this, right? But eventually my audience is going to grow tired of it, which is when you suggest a new format to actually make the content for. And then from there, we're able to pretty much just utilize that, see if it works. And then, most of the time it blows up. Every time we've switched from, the style that we're doing, right, into something new, it's something fresh for the audience and they're interested. And so I think that's probably the best thing that we've been able to do, is actually not just being able to make some sort of cookie cutter sort of playbook, but really like adapt with what's kind of going on within my business, and you take account of that very well, so I do appreciate it.
Yeah, I mean, yesterday, tell us about yesterday. What happened yesterday?
So we posted almost a like a TikTok style video with some like catchy music, and that absolutely blew up my page. So typically I get anywhere between 15 and 20 like qualified leads every single day. I got well over 100 yesterday off of that one video in just a 12-hour period. Like right now as we're speaking, I had about 15 new leads that just came in. Thankfully, I have somebody who can help set those people. But yeah, for the time being, it's been absolutely crazy. And so that's been one of the things that we've been able to realize is, we're constantly trying to level up the game, and having you as a partnership has been fantastic, just because you understand what it's going to take and how quickly I want to scale, and like how quick I'm trying to get to the next level. So being able to stay on schedule, and then also, hit these metrics to the point where it's very predictable is really comforting for anybody who wants to work with you, which is going to be that whatever you're going to do, you're going to scale up and you're going to be very predictable with it. So that way you're not thinking it's a gamble, that this is the path that it's going to take, and you can predict what numbers you're going to hit next month. Hey, we did this. So, eventually it just becomes a simple formula, which is in how much input you put in is exactly how much output you're going to get out. And so, but by having those little tweaks in the middle, right, you can multiply that factor by more or less. So.
You're
I don't
unsure.
know.
Yeah, so I
I
don't
don't
know
know
what
what happened
happened
there.
to but yeah, so kind of just wrap things up, just to like kind of go over. So obviously with when you start working with Yusuf, you're doing about 5K per month. This was around February time. Now you're still working with Yusuf, and it's about May, midway through May, and you're doing about 26, 30 grand a month. And I think a lot of things that we covered is like obviously your offer has just gone from one to one being super time intensive to now kind of doing a group coaching type of thing where it's not as intensive and you have really good ideas in terms of scaling that up with more coaches and maybe more verticals and stuff like that with interior design, like you said. Obviously, a lot of stuff that you've done with Yusuf has mainly been content based. So he's kind of helped you blowing up. It's kind of got you a lot of increased lead flow. You've got more appointments coming in. You've obviously got a setup working on those leads to come in, stuff like that. And just kind of overall, you've said that the lead quality is higher. They're kind of warmer on the calls and stuff like that. So I think overall it's been really good. And then kind of just to wrap it up even more, kind of where do you think you want to be going from here, and like what do you imagine like the next 2 to 3 months to kind of look like for you with this?
Yeah, no, for sure. It's very well planned out. That's the beautiful thing about this is once you get really predictable, you're not thinking in terms of tomorrow or next week. You're thinking in terms of months, if not years ahead, which is a really beautiful thing to, be able to just kind of, cultivate and it's very comforting. So I would say that for the next 2 months, 100% we're scaling up to 50K a month. But on top of that, I'm trying to offer a low ticket product so that way people can get into this for very, very low price. And my goal is to essentially, a save the industry that I'm in, but also be able to help as many people as possible. And so I think that's one of the most rewarding things about this job is that I really get to curate the people who work around me, which is one of the beautiful things that I've been able to do with both my setters as well as with Yusuf, and in his content strategies is really just curate the team that I like. I think this is one of the things that I kind of got out of something that Steve Jobs did, obviously the founder of Apple. Every single year he would go around in his company and he would tap on 100 people's shoulders and they would be invited to like an annual dinner. Those 100 people, he basically brought them in. They were the most influential people within Apple, and every single that dinner that he held every year with those 100 people, he would say and ask them, what are the three major things that need to happen in the next year so that way we can push our company forward. And whichever, everybody would answer, three different answers and they would pick out which ones, came up the most. And that's what they would do. And those 100 people, he said that if the company ever went under or if he ever got like kicked out of Apple, which ended up did happening, he would take those people, right, and they would come with him to his next company and they'd be able to, basically restart everything that he was able to do. Because that's really the most important thing. It's not about what you do, it's about who's around you. So that's been one of the best thing I've been able to curate.
Yeah, and I mean,
Yeah.
you've been able to, from what I see from your own personal testimonials, you've been able to change lives, and from sort of our perspective, uh, seeing you from being like, what was it in November? You were at like 5K a month, which
For
I
this
only
business, yeah.
found out now. You were at 5K a month. Up until February, March, you were at maybe 13, 14. And then in the month of April, going to 26K, basically doubling your monthly revenue. So, it's just amazing to see how we've been able to sort of help you change your life in terms of your business, but also facilitating you being able to help others getting into careers, and getting into the freelancing and earning up to six figures. And I guess that's the most rewarding element of it.
100%.
Yeah,
100%.
for sure. For sure. All right.
Sure. Just
Amazing.
before we end it off here, kind of like what would you say to people who are kind of on the fence, who are like kind of coaches or doing around that 5 to 10K like mark, and who want to get up to like 50K, who's kind of like they're a bit skeptical of working with and stuff like that. What would you say
Uh,
to kind of them?
100%. I would say that no matter what you're going to do, you need to scale fast and you need to fail hard. And that's just that's business though. And, that's something that you're going to have to get comfortable with. If you're on the fence about making the investment of something that's, directly going to impact your lead flow, do it because that's just going to increase the number of sales that you're going to get on the outbound. Obviously you might be a little skeptical when it comes to like hiring a setter, because that's something that you really don't want to take off of yourself initially because you're the lead driver for sales. But at a certain point in time, you have to realize that your leverage for your content is best handled by somebody else, and somebody who does it every single day. So that way you can more focus on the actual business side of things, getting the sales done, and then obviously fulfillment, which is, probably the most important thing to make sure that the clients are happy. Because if they have a good customer experience, right, they came in off of understanding that this is what you do. They're excited to do it because of the content that you have created. You're able to, give them that good product. You get good testimonials, and then it's just a revolving door at that point. So.
Yeah, amazing, amazing. So yeah, again, Jason, thank you for coming on. For anyone that is watching, I am gonna film a full explanation, a full case study, going in depth of what we did for Jason and how Jason got from that 5 to 13, and then from 13 to 26K a month, doing that in just the month of April. So yeah, thank you guys for joining. And yeah, let's go to 50K a month by summer, man.
Let's do it, man.
Let's do it. Amazing. All right. I'll pause the recording, or I'll stop the recording.